Kia ora guys, and welcome to another episode of Against the Grain, a little project I've been putting together through the month of Movember to catch up with friends and family and take a chance to check in and maybe start normalizing the conversations around well-being and mental health, especially with us males. Like I said, it's for the month of Movember and we are very close to the end now. So if you haven't already, head along to my MoSpace. I'll leave the link in the description below. And if you can, any donations will be greatly appreciated. Today, we have our last guest for the month on the show. It is one of the most influential males in my life. Lucky to have had him. It is the one and only dad. It is Mike Owen.
How are you?
Hey, Dad. How are we going?
Yeah, pretty good. So, yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, how you been going? All right?
It's been all right. It's been, we've just been coming out of lockdown now, so that's been a little bit easier, but having this all month has been kind of good to have something to focus on and work on, which is always good. I think we're quite similar. We need something to busy our minds with.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I've got plenty on at the moment, so.
Absolutely. Well, why don't we start by, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Mike, obviously. A mechanic / automotive engineer. Done that my whole life. Have owned our own business, me and your mum, for the last 26 years.
Wow.
In Auckland, in Howick. So I have lived in Howick my whole life, like born in Howick, schooled in Howick, worked in Howick. And we made a decision late last year, early this year, to sell the business and sell our house and sell everything and head towards, head Northland way. So we've bought some land in a sort of semi-industrial area and building a workshop up there. Bought a house in a place called Waipu, which is a little village not far from where we're building the workshop. And yeah, so huge changes for us. So yeah, quite
absolutely
different.
Well, it's a point I was going to touch on, but we may as well dive straight into it. You said you were born in Howick, schooled in Howick, raised in Howick, and you've created your business there for the last 26 years, and we obviously grew up there as well.
Yeah.
So moving away, was that how did that decision come about? Was it just time, or what was going through your head?
It was just time, really. Like, me and your mum have always spoken, like we'd probably want to get out of Auckland at some stage, like to retire. And we quite often spoke about Napier or the Hawke's Bay sort of area, which we quite like. We both like, outdoors and beaches and swimming and that sort of thing. And to be honest, like, as you know, we've got a camper van and we've been sort of traveling around a bit and getting out and about. And through part of what I do, which is low volume vehicle certification, an opportunity arose up in the Northland area where one of the certifiers had retired. And so we, made that decision to pursue it. And to be honest, it's been quite scary for both of us because, like, it's a huge change. Like,
for sure,
born in Wellington, but like has lived in Howick since she was a primary school sort of thing.
So you were saying it was an opportunity that presented itself that kind of kickstarted the ball rolling?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it's always been in the back of our mind, but like it was realistically on the 10-year plan.
Right.
But just Christmas came, we looked and thought, well, why don't we start to pursue this? And then we started to look at where we could go and pretty much just snowballed, and what was supposed to take 10 years to happen it's taken this year. So we're well underway.
And this year, out of all years to choose to do a move, obviously we've had COVID and restrictions lifting and going and stuff like that. Has that proved difficult, or?
It's been sort of surreal in the sense that, like, we had this in place and we were talking to banks and, raising capital to buy land and build workshops and everything. And COVID hit, and obviously we went into lockdown, and I own a business and have employees, which I had to, I carried on paying, and like everything was, oh my God, what's going to happen? But as it's turned out, it's I'm not going to say it's been a blessing, but it's changed our pathway a little bit, but it's
for the better,
proven to be the right choices, because what we were planning on doing was raising capital through the banks and, keeping the house and slowly building up and getting the thing up and running. And when COVID came, all the banks sort of went, oh, we're not loaning money for businesses, it's all too risky. And we sat down and had a chat and said, right, let's just sell the house and do it anyhow. So we sold the house, shifted into a little granny flat, and have now got the capital to do the building, which has been a lot of pressure off us, because, you're always worried about borrowing money, and this time, especially with COVID going on.
For sure.
And yeah, it's just worked out the right thing to do.
I think I found that. Yeah, I think I found that with quite a few people that I've talked to this year, is it's hard to say blessing, when this whole year has happened. But I think some good things have come out of, being A, forced into lockdown, and B, just taking a second to kind of having to sit and go, well, where are we? At what stage are we at, and what do we want to do? Because no one was expecting this year to happen. And I think it's been kind of good I think motivation is the right word to use, that for some people, it's a chance to go, well, why have we been putting this off? Kind of thing.
Yeah. And it is, like you say, it's almost like, I don't know how to say this, like COVID could come and wreck everything, but it's you dug your heels and say, you're not going to, this ain't going to beat me. Like, let's soldier on through this and come out the winners. And, like I say, it's not a blessing, but it's been a challenge, but it's probably made us more focused and more determined to not let it stop us. Yeah. And like I say, as it's worked out, there's always little hiccups along the way and that sort of thing. Everything's like, I can't complain. Everything is going just to plan in a sense.
Yeah.
So,
and do you think it was an initial thing that you guys, or you personally, put yourself in the mindset of, right, this is a time to step forward? Or like you did say, it was scary at some points, and especially being a business owner as well. After the start of the year, was it a while before things got into the mindset of, all right, no, let's push things forward? Or was that right from the get-go?
I think it had to be right from the get-go, because we were either going to do it or we weren't going to do it.
Right.
So we sat down there and said, right, this is the plan. Like we sat in the camper van and had a look around, found a bit of dirt that looked like it was going to work, and we almost looked at each other and said, well, like it's either go for it. Like you couldn't hesitate, you couldn't half do it. So it was either boots, boots and all sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, and through doing it, like we come home and, God, what have we done, sort of thing, a few times, but we always sat there and going, look, this is the right thing. Like everything felt right at every stage.
Sure.
The people we've been dealing with up there have just been, amazing. Like the guys that bought the land off have just been so helpful.
Yeah.
The guys building my building are just gone beyond what I would have thought they need to do. So it's really cool.
Yeah, and that definitely helps as well when you've got supportive people on all sides of things.
Absolutely.
So it's not the first time you've moved house in your life. We moved when I think I was 18 at the time, or around there. But deciding to move this far, was that a different a process, or did it hit differently, that when you were selling this house, it was kind of like, all right, we're now moving away kind of thing?
Yeah, well, it sort of is, because like so we've bought a house in Waipu, which we can't shift into because we've still got to be in Auckland. So it's almost like we've got a holiday home in Waipu that we've been to 4 times. So we're in a little granny flat. Like, as you know, we've had some nice homes that we've lived in, sort of Sandgate and then Gofflins. And now we're in literally, you probably can't see, but it's one room, like the bedroom, the lounge, we're on sitting now, it's all the dining room table behind it. It's all one room. So that's been quite weird, I suppose. And like the same thing, like we've always lived 5 minutes from work, and now it takes me 25 minutes to drive to work, 25 minutes to drive home, which still isn't much. And I'm not complaining.
Such a hard life you live.
Yeah, it's just a different thing. Like same again, like I've lived in either Hauka Pakuranga my whole life.
Do you think sorry, carry on.
No, it's just now we're not there. Like,
right. Do you think because you're still in Auckland at the moment, in this little granny flat you're in, do you think it's been an easier transition? You've now bought the house in Waipu, you can go up there, but you're kind of transitioning slowly out of Auckland rather than sell, load everything up in a truck and move up north in one weekend kind of thing.
It probably, when we look back, we will look at it like that it has been easier doing it this way. And I suppose the other thing is people have got used to the fact we're going, because like same as mum, like your nan, and even like a lot of our friends that are around Auckland, like they've sort of got used to the idea of like, oh, they really are going, you know, like, and we're now left from here, but we're still in Auckland, but the next step will be we're gone, sort of thing. So yeah, it probably has made it easier than just, because even going up there, we're slowly getting to meet people a little bit, but like I keep saying, like we're not actually here till February.
Right.
But, you know, we're sort of starting to mix into the community a little bit and, you know, feel as though we're gonna fit, sort of thing. So yeah,
for sure.
I suppose it has made it easier.
And do you think, or does it worry you that, you know, your friends will be in Auckland and you'll be in Waipu? Does that concern you at all, or do you think that it's not going to be a barrier?
It's things like my good friend Merv. You know, it's going to be strange not being able to just say to mum, "Oh, look, I'm just going to shoot around and see Merv for a while," because it's not going to happen like that. You know, where we're gone is 2 hours away, so it's not the end of the world stuff. But like, yeah, that will be strange. You know, sometimes just on a Saturday afternoon, I'll just say, I'm just going to shoot and go and have a beer with Merv, you know, and I'm not going to do that. Same with Jay, who, you know, like, but in saying that, you know, Jay's shifted from Hauka, he's gone out to Pairata because they've bought a house out there. So like he's moved away. Chris and Jones, you know, they've moved away. So slowly a lot of our people around Hauka are moving as well. So, but yeah, look, there's always going to be that, like, things like that just, you know, I just feel like a catch up and shoot round and, you know, shoot the breeze with so on.
Yeah.
But like, we will make new friends up there. Like, life's a ever evolving circle, isn't it? So
for sure.
You know, and even like Merv will come up and we'll come down and catch up. But yeah.
And I think that's a good thing as well, is that it doesn't mean the end of things. It just means, you know, it might not be a Saturday afternoon, which is great to have to just pop around to someone's house. But we've found it even moving over here. It's just keeping up that effort of keeping in contact, and not necessarily every day, but, you know, sometimes when we pop back to New Zealand, we'll hit up someone that we haven't talked to in a year, and it'll be fine because we'll go out for lunch and so on. I guess I was going to ask, do you think with your group of friends that you initiate those kind of things? Are you one to push for catch-ups, or do you kind of just wait for things to happen?
Oh, well, probably a bit of both. I always quite often end up being the organizer of things. Like if we're going to do a hot rod run or something like that, I'll organize it. Like if we're going to do a, you know, you know, let's go down to to Miranda or something like that. Like I'll do the ring around and say, right, you come, I'll bring the barbecue, you know. So yeah, I'd probably a little bit like guys like Merv, like you just need to find which pub he's at and go and see him there. But like, yeah, a little bit.
And do you think that it's been almost appointed to you to be organising things, or does it just come naturally?
Oh, no, not really. I think sometimes I'm a bit of a doer, and sometimes people talk about things and we should do this, we should do that, and I'm sort of the one that goes, oh, well,
let's
make it happen instead of, you know, so
yeah,
it's just a matter of making it happen a little bit.
For sure. No, that's it's great when that happens, because then you get everyone together, and especially for events, you know, people actually tend to show up to those things, just a casual catch up kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that just gives you a focus that, like a lot of my friends, and we're into motor cars and that sort of thing. So, and like even with us going to Waipu, which is, like I say, only 2 hours up the road, like there's some car events up there, and I'll just like bring guys like Doug and Tony and Merv and say, hey, look, there's the Waipu car show on. Jump in your cars, come up. We'll have a few beers, stay the night. We've got 3 spare bedrooms.
Yeah.
And we've got a flat bit of land if you want to for our tent up. So yeah, come up and, you know.
Like, yeah, and I think that'll be. I was going to say that'll be great to have those opportunities as well, as to say, come on up and check out our place, and it will just get that connection. Like you said, it's only 2 hours away. I think once people make the trip up, it'll be a lot easier to go, oh, well, it's just a hop up the road kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, if you're coming up for a car show, like you're not just coming up to sit around and shoot the breeze sort of thing. You're coming up, you're going off and doing a car thing and walking around and chatting, and then going back and having a barbecue and you know, stay the night, and next morning, like, you get up, you have fried eggs, and you can be home by lunchtime.
Yeah, exactly.
So
no, well, hopefully that works. You were saying that, you know, you're into your motorsport, and even firing up the Barbie and stuff like that. So I guess what are some things that you do personally to unwind? What's in your kind of toolbox to have your time? What does your time look like to you?
I don't know, really. Like cooking, I suppose. I enjoy cooking. So
have you always found that?
Yep, I've always enjoyed cooking. So there's that. As strange as it may sound, mowing the lawns is a great time out for me. Like I enjoy mowing the lawns. Sort of put my headphones on, put some music on, and, you know, go out and zone out, I suppose. Like there's nothing but you and pushing a lawnmower around in circles. And the other thing, I suppose, like I've been in the last probably 2 years now, I've decided to pick up and try and learn the guitar, which is a great time out thing for me as well. It's as frustrating as it is, but I can get C chord now.
I was going to say the progression is fantastic.
And so like I really enjoy that.
That is a very recent thing you've picked up is learning the guitar. What brought that on? Was it just a spur of the moment?
Just like having watched, like it's something I have always thought about. Being left-handed, there was never a left-handed guitar lying around, and so you always, you know, oh, well, you know. And as you and your brother Dale, you know, both played the guitar, and I always sat there going, God, I wish I could do that. And then one day I just thought, well, don't wish it, do it. So I just went on Trade Me, bought I think it was $30 left-handed guitar, which was just a restrung right-handed guitar at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And thought, like, I'll have a go at this. And I took some lessons and then started going online for lessons and saw a few people and got the gist of it going, and decided now I'll buy a nicer guitar, you know, because a $30 guitar is cool, but like you buy a nice guitar and you look after it, and it's actually, the tone's so much better. And I went out and bought it, and I pretty much try and play daily,
Yep.
even if it's for 10 minutes, just to try and keep that going. And yeah, from a stage I thought this is never going to happen. I can bang out a few tunes now. And
Exactly. And how have you found learning something, later in life? It's when Dale and I picked it up, it was in school and there were lessons available and stuff like that. And it was almost like, oh yeah, they're learning a new thing. And
yeah,
even now I still find, mates and stuff will be like, oh yeah, I'm going to try a new course because I want to learn this. But was that a different feeling doing that later on in life, or was it just
yeah, it was.
accepting that a teacher was like, yeah, cool, let's learn guitar?
Yeah, it was sort of like when I first started, I thought like maybe I've missed the boat because I just I couldn't get to that C chord. Like I thought it's never going to happen. Like I could do some of that, and the strumming was all over the place, and I thought, but it's just persistence, and like suddenly it starts to come, and once you suddenly got that, oh yeah, that sounded a bit better, and I actually went from D to A without looking, because you used to, go D and then your head would go down like this, and oh God, where is it? It's up. Oh, there's your G, and
Yeah.
and now I can look and talk to you, and I could be going through all those chords, and so it's muscle memory, I suppose, and it's just it comes. And don't get me wrong, I'm never going to be a sort of play like your Uncle Richard, where you can just bang out tunes and that. Like it's a concentration thing to get it right, and it's easy to miss a note, and yeah. But like I say, it's also just a time out thing for me as well. So just for myself, I don't want to play in front of anybody. I just like to play.
Right.
Or if you, as we have done, come home and pick up a guitar and you can just have a little jam session. It's really cool fun.
For sure. So it's more of a personal, I can do this and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't have to impress anybody with it. I just want to have a little play, learn a few
Nice.
songs.
Well, and also on the topic of achieving things, very recently you did a half marathon. Is that correct?
Yeah, half marathon.
Half
Yeah,
marathon. And to put that in context, you was the last couple of years that you had surgery on your knee, correct?
yeah. So I got a
That
replacement knee.
was a massive step and impressed so many people. So I just want to know what got you into doing that, or what was the motivation to?
Well, there you go. There's COVID again.
Right.
So
Okay.
during lockdown, like I was determined not to waste away the time.
Okay.
And
Sure.
so, like my morning routine is to get up at around just after 5, and get off to work and that. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to lie in bed till 10. I'm going to keep going. So I thought, oh look, I'm going to.
And that was important to you from the start of lockdown?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
I there's no way I was going to let that become, an excuse to lay around and do nothing. So I started just going for walks, and I'd been sort of trying to lose a bit of weight anyhow, and I found I really enjoyed it. So I started sort of doing 10Ks and that, and then I spoke to a guy, and I said, hey, what do you reckon? Do you reckon I could do a half marathon like this? I just walked it. Obviously, no, I can't run because of my knee.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just put me on a bit of a program, and I started building up. And then the worst thing is COVID again. I was booked to do this half marathon up in Whangarei, and suddenly Auckland got put into lockdown and we weren't allowed to go. So I had to do it virtually by myself, sort of things.
So how did you find that? Obviously, doing a half marathon, you all line up with your bibs at the start. But doing it by yourself.
It was really disappointing. But I just, same again, I thought, well, buggy, I'm not going to not do it.
Right.
So I just, my mum came down with me and set me on my way. I mapped out a course, which is 21 point something Ks, and just decided I'm going to go for it. And like I nailed it, to be honest. I did 21 Ks in 2 hours, 50 minutes, I think it was.
Wow. Yeah. It's just,
So,
I think, we're all completely blown away by it as well. But just on your point that, unfortunately Auckland did go into that second lockdown. And like you said, you weren't able to go up to the actual marathon. You had to do it by yourself, which is it's a big thing to kind of just take away from someone and go, well, carry on doing it if you want.
Yeah.
I guess I was just going to ask, when things like that happen, whether they be big or small or more important or less important, when things do get a bit sucky or you're kind of like, well, shit, how do you tend to deal with stuff like that? Do you have people you talk to, or do you, like you said, you focused on, well, I'm still going to do it,
Yeah.
and went into it? But if it's something that might not be something you can actually just go and do, if it's like a bad day at work or something more, how do you try and kind of deal with those things?
Yeah. I normally, like, over the years, and especially through owning an own business and, dealing with dramas on a daily basis, I suppose.
I'm sure it has a lot of ups and downs.
You learn to, don't sweat the small stuff.
Okay.
And you can only do what you can do. Like, but that's not to say, like, sometimes I do get wound up and just like, but same again, like probably old school, like you just quite often, like in the past, I've bottled it up and tried to offload with your mum sometimes, but like sometimes I just bottle up for a while and then I just get up and go, bugger, I'm not going to let this defeat me, and go and do whatever it takes to make it right, sort of thing. Like, so sometimes, say in the workshop, like there's mistakes made by people, and I used to go, oh, what are we going to do? How are we going to deal with this? Blah, blah. But what I've found over the years is you can internalize it for weeks on end and go, oh. And now I just go, it is what it is.
Right.
Like, I'll just front up, pay whatever it costs to make it right and move on, because otherwise you lose 2 weeks of your life. You're never going to get back worrying about something that's already happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so you've found that that just has come naturally over the years. You've learned to deal with those kind of things.
Yeah, just learned to do it. Like, you used to go, oh, what am I going to do? And I'm going to lose money. Like, you've already lost the money. Like, just get on with it. And I found, like, you're better off to be upfront and honest and just deal with it straight away. Don't try and put it off. Don't try and work out a better way to do it. Just make a decision on what it is.
Definitely.
This is how I'm going to deal with it, and bang, do it.
And it's interesting you say, in the work context, pay whatever needs to be done to fix it and move on. Yeah. Do you think that has applied to out of work as well, personal stuff? And by pay, I mean, it could be time, it could be emotion, it could be anything. But do you think you've adapted it in personal life as well to deal with things straight away? Or do you think that's taken a bit of a different course?
No, I just like we've, I don't know really. I'd sort of, we just deal with things, I suppose. Like,
right.
We're not procrastinators in any sense of the word. Like, we don't, if we decide we're going to do something, we just discuss it and do it.
So would you be? Oh, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you go.
I was just going to say. So would you be comfortable addressing stuff with friends or family if something was going wrong?
I probably wouldn't be uncomfortable, but I would, like, to be honest, like most of us guys of my age group, like, we certainly don't sit around and talk about things that we possibly should do, like whether
do you wish you could?
Yeah, sometimes I suppose you do. Sometimes you probably wish you could sort of, I've got this and it's worrying me, and whether it's be, I suppose a classic example, like sometimes you can sit there and think, I'm drinking a fair bit at the moment,
Right.
like it'd be quite cool to talk to someone about that. But then it's like you don't want to be, oh, you're a wuss, and you know, even if you do things like, oh, I'm going to do dry drill eye and that sort of thing, you know, just have a beer, mate. You know, what do you
Right.
sort of,
Right.
yeah, or you know, oh, you'll never be able to do it. You know, it's sort of.
Do you think that that's and I'm applying this to your circles and people of my age circles as well. Do you think that that's a surface thing? When people say, oh, I'm going to do dry July, and you know, you always get the banter of, oh, you can't do that, or oh, come on, just have a beer. Do you feel that after telling them again, people become supportive, or is it a bit more? I'm not sure what the right word I'm looking for is. You know, like all those comments get made, but do you think they're just trying to think of the right way to put this? Yeah, banter and you know, if you go, no, I'm really doing it, they'll be like, oh, sweet, yeah, good on you, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. Like they're not. They're just sort of. It's just, you know, it's banter sort of thing. Like I'm going to do this. You won't be able to do it. No,
Yeah.
But yeah, if I think most of my friends, if I said, look, I'm really going to do this, so I'll need your support.
Yeah.
They would be, yeah, no problem, sort of thing.
Isn't it interesting that that surface level of banter, like you were saying a couple of sentences ago, can be quite a big deterrent? Is that's the first thing you think of is, oh, what, my mates are just going to say this, and so it makes it a bit harder.
Yeah, I don't know if it makes it harder or is just justifies you as an easy excuse not to do it.
Right.
As much as anything, you know, like, oh, they're going to give a shit, I won't do it, you know, like, which is your own out, like, so you're using their banter as an excuse not to do it, probably.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
my
that's
view.
a good point.
But, you know, so, but I think if you want to do it, you say, well, to be fair, I don't care what you think. So, which sort of brings me to something I was going to say. I've watched quite a few of these of yours. It's really blown me away how well spoken and well balanced a lot of the young men as yourself have, you know, dealt with this video calling and that. And I'm thinking, wow, that's really cool that you guys are actually able to verbalize way better than what any of my group could have or would have done. And whether it's because of this sort of, like, we didn't have video calls or anything, like two guys on the phone, like if I rang Merv, it's we what pub are you going to? This one. Okay, see ya, 10, 15, see ya.
Right.
Oh, gone. And yet we could sit at the pub and talk about nothing for hours on end, or like we could go around to Doug's and, you know, the nights, like the group we get together and to watch the V8s, you know, we can sit till 4 a.m. talking, God knows what we talk about.
For sure. And you find that enjoyable, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And that's a guy's ways of how we release, you know.
Yeah.
But we don't talk on the phone.
Right.
You know, like a phone call to us is like time, date, where, and that's all that needs to be said. You know?
And there is something great about seeing someone in person as well. I think it just
yeah. So this is easier to do like this than it would be just on a phone. Like by the time,
right?
You know, I don't know if bored's the right word, but like I'd be over it by now if we were just talking on the phone.
Right. Interesting. So, well, that brings me to a point. Do you think because of this year you've connected with more people because of all the video calls and sitting around home going?
Not really. Like I organised, like, so we have a group of guys that do the V8s every year.
Yep.
COVID canned the V8s for us this year, so through, I think it's called House Party, I organised us all to get on that, which was semi-successful. But we all were on that for probably a good hour, I suppose, and bantering and that sort of thing. It was, none of us are used to that, and so it was a quite weird experience. But other than talking to you on video calls, I wouldn't talk to anybody else. Like, don't talk to Merv or Jay. Like I say, we just ring each other, organise where to meet and at what time, and then we'll talk face to face sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, in saying that, like our lockdown hasn't been about that first 4 weeks, you know, we haven't been that badly affected. I don't feel.
Of course, yeah. And you've still had the opportunities to call up and say, let's go meet here, let's go do this. and that.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not as though we haven't been able to get together. So, but like having you in Australia, this has been good. And like I know you and your mum talk regularly via video.
Yeah.
And but same again, like when you call, I always poke my head and say hi. But like I
Yes.
haven't got a huge amount to say. You know, like mum can sit there and talk for ages. Like I'm sort of a hi, how are you going all right? Yeah. You heard this latest band or just something like that.
Yeah, and even on that, you know, like you said, me and mum call every couple of days and we can talk to the cows come home, and that's just the way we communicate. But, you know, me and you, we have a text thread that goes on, and you'll send me a screenshot of a Spotify artist and I'll send you a screenshot of a car that I saw. And I think that works.
That's another, because it's just like blokes are a lot more simple, I think, in that sense for me anyhow. Like, you know, I'd rather, like, you send me an artist that I might be interested in, and I'll send you one back and say, well, you try these guys. And through that, you know, you get to share what we're all listening to. We don't need to sit there and verbalize it for half an hour.
And I think that that's probably one of the most important things I've learned from doing all of these, is that there is no ABC on how to communicate or how to open up about these kind of things. I think everyone has their own different way with all different people, which is an important thing to remember. Yeah.
I suppose like it's just a matter of, if I do need to ring and talk to you about something, and say I need to talk to you about Dale or Mum or something like that, I'm not scared to. Like, I just go, oh shit, you know, I better ring Reese and we'll have a chat about this. You know, if I'm worried about something or
and we'd just anything.
Do it. And you just do it. So I suppose we're not scared to do it. We just don't find it necessary as much as, say, your mum finds it necessary.
Yeah. So, and I think that's, if anything, kind of what I'm trying to achieve with this, is just making it just a bit more normal to go, it's not a scary thing to, and not necessarily even to video call, to phone call, to meet up somewhere, like you said, whatever you feel comfortable with. If that works for you, then make it happen and get in the zone, I guess. Yeah. Well, I think that's a brilliant point to end on there. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for coming in and chatting. It's been really great.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been cool. Bit different, but So,
well, and that's the thing, is I think it feels different the first couple of times you do it, but the more often it happens, the more comfortable people get. And if that opens up someone to saying something that they need to, then I've done more than I wanted to. Yeah. But no, thank you for coming in. And like I said at the start, this is for Movember. So we're in the last couple of days now before I shave this thing off. I'll leave the link in the description below for the Mo space. And if anyone wants to go along and give any donations, it'd be greatly appreciated. But otherwise, I'll talk to you later, Dad. Thanks again for coming in.
Okay. See you
later.
Have
a good one. Love you, mate.
See ya.